Hello, folks. Welcome to Analytics Workshop. My name is Shiv Narayanan. I'm a Senior Technical Product Manager with AWS Glue, and today I'm going to be talking about how to improve data quality in your data lake. So we have a packed agenda. I'm going to first talk about all the challenges that our customers normally face when implementing a data quality solution, why AWS Glue Data Quality simplifies managing quality of your data. We're going to do demos. We're actually going to do 2 demos. We're going to show you how you can do this today. We're going to talk about customer case studies and how to get started. So today, customers have a lot of data in modern data platforms. This includes data warehouses, operational data stores, data lakes, and very recently, data mesh. And AWS Glue helps you build these data platforms. AWS Glue is a serverless data integration service from AWS that helps you manage your data integration pipelines. So on the far left, you have a variety of data sources, including your Amazon-based data sources, your on-premise data sources, streaming, and other data sources. You can easily connect to them with Glue. You can crawl them and discover schema and catalog them in Glue Data Catalog, which helps your end users view all the data and the metadata very easily. And then you can take your data and transform this in 3 different ways. One is you can start visually transforming this data with Glue Studio that allows customers who really like visual way of authoring their jobs meaningful. Second, you can use Glue Studio Notebooks if you're a customer who would like to author code to transform your data. You can use Glue Studio Notebooks. And if you are a type of developer who are or a business user who likes to write no code or you do not want to write any code, you can use Data Brew to write or create those types of transformations. And then you can take all that data and ingest it into your modern data platforms to gain value out of this data. When you author these transformations, all of these transformations get executed on our serverless data integration engine. You have the option to write your jobs on Python. You have the option to write them on Spark or Ray. So these are different engines that are available today for you to do data integration. So Glue has been around for a couple of years now. We have over 100,000 customers. It's really a rock solid service. We have 25 million jobs that run on a regular basis, and it's 100% open source compliant, which means that whatever you're writing are you're writing on a platform that is completely open source, so your code is not being locked in. Now, is this enough? Is just data integration enough? It turns out it's not. So we've learned from our customers that the quality of data is super important. And a classic example of this is actually a paper that was published where the Electronic Health Records for Clinical Research Project overlooked at many EHR systems and found missing or incorrect data all over the place. In one example, they examined 79,000 ER visits of children under 5 years old and revealed that 34% of the patients' weights were incorrectly recorded, which potentially could have ended up in prescribing wrong medication or wrong dosages of medication. Data quality issues can be serious. So now that we know that this is important, how do we really solve it? There are 3 ways to manage data quality solutions today. The first one is really the old guard data quality tools that typically work on on-premise environments, typically work really well with relational databases. So that's one option, which you might have all been familiar with. The second option, which seems to be the more prominent option, is open source frameworks. There are a bunch of open source frameworks, including Amazon DQ, which allows our customers to manage quality of data. Obviously, the cost is low. You can download this and kind of install them on your on-premise or cloud, and then be able to run it. The third is niche solutions, which are recent, like kind of startups that are envisioning machine learning based data quality. So these are really the 3 broad buckets of data quality solutions that are available today. So if they're available today, what's the problem, right? The first thing that when we ask our customers as to what's really the problem with all these three types of solutions is the amount of infrastructure setup and upgrades that they had to do. It takes a significant amount of work to install, manage, and upgrade and scale these solutions. The second thing is the cost. And some of these solutions can really be very, very expensive. And it's not just the cost, but the inability for our customers to associate direct value in basically operationalizing these kind of data quality solutions with this expensive licensing fee, right? So that has been another major challenge for our customers. The third thing is even after you set up and even after you pay all this licensing fee, there's so much manual processes that's out there to go and do data quality. For example, you have to profile the data and then you have to look through the profiles. You have to create those rules and then you have to sit down and monitor them. And then there's a lot of manual steps that comes in the way. This is probably the most important reason that customers struggle with is the scalability and performance. A lot of these tools really work with small scale data to medium scale data. The moment the data scale increases, there's there's a lot of scalability and performance issues that our customers face, which really is a big inhibitor for our customers to kind of get started with a data quality solution. Number five is really that one thing that we realized is that data quality is very important not only for the data engineering persona, but also equally important for data stewards and business analysts and really the business facing people who are actually consuming this data. So it needs to be part of their workflow in a way that they can understand how to manage quality. And finally, a lot of these solutions either focus on data stores and completely ignore the ETL pipelines or vice versa, which makes it really, really hard because there are different use cases that comes to bear where some of the use cases are focused on data at rest, whereas some of the data quality checks has to be integrated in the data pipeline so that bad data does not enter into your data lake. So we launched Glue Data Quality to address a lot of these problems. First one to begin with, and this is the number one reason why customers really love Glue Data Quality is it is completely serverless, scalable, and highly performing. So let's unpack that for a minute. When we say serverless, it really means that zero infrastructure setup, zero libraries for you to manage. You simply access either the Glue Data Catalog or you access the ETL pipelines, and you get started with data quality. There is nothing that you have to do to specifically install a package. The scalability aspect is really, really important. And the way Glue is scalable and highly performing is for two reasons. The first thing is a lot of times the performance issues occur because you have a particular server and then it tries to kind of run your jobs. And when you're submitting the jobs, and maybe there are a bunch of workers, there is a noisy neighbor problem. One process can actually eat up the whole cluster, and all the other processes are struggling. Now, Glue is not architected like that. The way Glue works is every time you are running a job or running a data quality scan or running a pipeline, Glue has a dedicated set of components that are set up just for that job. The infrastructure that's been provisioned behind the scenes that is absolutely not visible to you from a serverless standpoint is just dedicated for that one single job. Once the jobs are finished, it finishes, and then it kind of the whole infrastructure is destroyed. And you could submit hundreds of these jobs, and then similarly hundreds of servers are actually kind of processing your data without intercepting the previous one. So the noisy neighbor problem is not there when you're using Glue, which improves the scalability and performance in an orders of magnitude scale. The second reason why it is really scalable, Glue Data Quality scalable, is because it's built on Amazon DQ, which is an internal framework that was built for running data quality scans at scale. This has been tested at Amazon with over 60 petabytes of data lakes. And it's truly a great framework for processing really, really large volumes of data. Now, the second part to this is the recommendations, right? So we start with a rule recommendation. Instead of you having to author data quality rules, we recommend data quality rules. That's a great starting point. Once you gather all the recommendations, you can review them, and then you can use data quality rules that has been built in for you and bring them in. You can tweak the recommendations, adjust the thresholds, and finally create a rule set and then start scheduling them. You can associate actions. For instance, if whenever a job fails, you can trigger alerts so that you can get notifications and then act on it. Now, the fourth point here is the introduction of data quality definition language. A lot of tools, when you're writing rules, you are possibly writing a lot of these rules in a locked in language. Data quality definition language allows you to author data quality rules in an open language. It's something that we have attempted to create so that you don't have to write data quality rules that are specific for one system. And this is actually being made available as part of our DQ open source library so that you can start using this and write data quality rules that is not locked in. And eventually, we hope that the language will get adopted more broadly so that the rules that are written in one environment can seamlessly operate in other environments. Uh, Glue data quality supports data at rest, which means that you can manage quality of data in databases, and also in transit, which means that you can embed this into your pipeline so that you can avoid bad data entering in. We provide data quality in two different places. So in the data catalog for data stewards to manage quality, as well as the data pipelines or Glue ETL, so that your data engineers can also perform data quality checks. So this is a diagram that I kind of talked about in a previous slide, just to kind of point out where you can start managing quality of your data. On the far left-hand side, you see all the data sources, you connect them, you catalog them. That's the point where you can actually start with data quality. So you can access your catalog, go to a table, click or recommend, click create rules, get a recommendation, and you can operationalize your data quality rules, schedule them right there, and then start monitoring the quality of your data. The second place that you can actually operationalize this is in your ETL pipeline. You can go to your notebook jobs or your Glue Studio Visual jobs, add a data quality transform, write all your rules, and then run them. It can help you identify which records are good, which records are bad, so that you can filter all the bad records, you can get all the good records and pump them into your repositories so that your customers can make confident business decisions and be assured that there is not any issues in your data. So let's first look at how Glue data quality works in the data catalog. Imagine you're a data steward. You would go in there. You would select a table in Glue data catalog. You would click on create rules, and over there you have the recommendation button. You click the recommendation button. We would start analyzing the rules. As you're browsing through a bunch of data quality rules, we would analyze all the data, and we will come back to you with a first draft version of these rules. You review those rules one by one, adjust thresholds if you need to, add additional data quality rules. Glue provides more than 25 rules for you to manage quality of data. This includes simple checks like null counts or standard deviation checks, all the way to very complex ones to compare two data sets to find what's matching and what's not matching, referential integrity between data sets. And once you create the rules, now you can operationalize this by scheduling them. You can schedule it directly from the Glue Data Catalog. If you don't like that, you can schedule it from EventBridge or your choice of scheduler, because we provide all the APIs to create and even evaluate data quality rules. And every execution provides you a data quality score. The score is indicative of how good your quality is. And you can get notifications through SNS. We have integrated with Amazon EventBridge, which is a service that alerts, or which is an event based service where you can integrate other applications. You can use that method to trigger a notification. We've provided sample codes for you to customize your notification. You can use EventBridge to do that. You can take all the alerts and then extract the data and then write it into S3 and you can build your own dashboards in order for you to ensure your data stewards can view how data quality is trending. So now let's look at a quick demo on how this works. From the Glue's landing page, let's click on Databases, which is under the Data Catalog option. Let's select Billing Database. Here we have three tables: raw trip data that contains the source data of taxi rides in a city. The payment is reference data that is needed for us to clean this raw data. And the clean trip data is a cleansed version of the raw trip data. The clean trip data is an Amazon S3 base table with 19 columns. My goal is to set up data quality checks for this clean table because we want high quality data to continuously flow from our raw data sets. I want to make sure that the columns have valid values. All the data from my source table is present in the clean version of my table, and my payment codes match to the reference tables that I had shown you before. To get started, click on the Data Quality tab. Now click on Create Data Quality Rules. The difficult part of creating data quality checks is the need to manually analyze the data and create data quality rules. Glue Data Quality automatically generates these rules that reduces your real creation process from hours to just minutes. To auto-generate these rules, click on Recommend Rules, provide an IAM role that has permissions to the dataset. If needed, you can provide a filter condition to filter data from the source, provide the number of workers that are needed to process this data, and click on Recommend Rules. The recommendation process has started. Glue analyzes your data, gathers data statistics, and auto-creates the data quality rules so that you don't have to manually analyze the data and author them. This saves you days of manual work. Now, the data quality recommendations are complete. Let's explore the recommendations. You can see that Glue has generated rules that check for record counts, valid values, completeness of data, and standard deviation checks. These are generated based on your dataset that makes these rules highly relevant for your use. I'm going to select all of these rules and insert them in my canvas. You can see that one of these rules say that the trip distance should be under 306,000 miles, which is most likely cost because of bad data in my dataset. I want to limit my trip distance to be under 500. Now, one of my requirements is to make sure that all payment types in the dataset is present in the master payment dataset. Glue provides several out-of-the-box checks to accomplish complex rules like these. To do this, I am going to add a referential integrity check by navigating the helper and by selecting this specific rule type. On clicking the plus button, Glue adds the referential integrity rule type with an example for you to customize. Click the Schema tab and select Update Reference Tables to add the reference datasets that you want to use in your rule set. Use the Schema browser to easily replace example fields with actual table names and column names. Now, we have a referential integrity rule with a threshold of 1, which means that 100% of payment types should be present in the reference table provided here. I have another requirement to ensure that all my data from raw table is loaded to my clean table. If it was a small table, I have rule types to compare two datasets, but my table has 22 million records, and I want to be efficient about how I compare my data. For this, I will use aggregate match, a rule type that compares aggregate measures between two different tables. I have created a rule that compares the total amount between my raw table and my clean table. To meet my final requirement, I'm going to use a custom SQL rule type. The custom SQL rule type allows you to write SQL-based rules to handle complex business requirements that cannot be met by out-of-the-box rule types.
In this scenario, I need to set up a rule to ensure that passengers were present when taxi charges were incurred. Let's now go ahead and save the rule set and provide a name. I'm clicking Run to evaluate the rule set. I have selected a role that has permissions to this dataset. I have selected the options to publish metrics to CloudWatch and EventBridge. I have also selected a location to store the data quality results. We have options to run this scan on a schedule or on demand. We will choose on demand. We have provided the number of workers. You can choose filter data at source and catalog partition predicate to run incremental scans so that you're not evaluating the entire data set, but for this run, we are going to run it on the entire data set. As you can see, the Glue data quality job has started. It is now evaluating the entire dataset against the rules that we have set up. The evaluation is now complete. We now have a score of 94%, with 51 out of 54 data quality rules passed. Let's now explore what rules failed so that we can take corrective actions. Our results contain a status message which tells us whether the rule passed or failed, and evaluated metrics that provides us information and insight into what the actual values are. For example, the first rule has a row count validation, but the evaluated metrics provides us the exact number of rows in the dataset. On exploration, we can clearly see which of these rules were successful, which of the rules failed, and what are the boundary values that actually exist in the dataset. This allows us to actually start taking corrective actions on these datasets by talking to our source system owners so that these values can be improved. I have requirements to be notified when data quality rules fail. I have completed a one-time setup in EventBridge, which invokes a Lambda to receive notifications that is well formatted, and it gives me detailed information of which rules passed and which rules failed. Our documentation explains this in detail. After working with the source system owners and fixing the transformation steps, our data quality score has improved to 100%. This is reflected in the trend chart. The score combined with the trends instills confidence in users of this dataset for them to make confident business decisions. These results are written to Amazon S3 and to EventBridge. You can use this to build customized dashboards to look at these trends the way you want to see it. You can invoke all these actions such as recommendations, data quality evaluation via API so that you can run data quality scans across multiple datasets in an automated fashion. Refer to our API guide for examples on how to do this. Sometimes you may have requirements to run data quality checks on non-data catalog sources or apply data quality checks within your ETL pipelines. You may have requirements to identify the records that did not pass data quality checks so that you can prevent them from entering into your data repositories. For such use cases, you can use Glue data quality on Glue ETL. You can add a transform called evaluate data quality within your pipeline that evaluates the quality of data and identifies which records passed or failed so that you can route those data sets appropriately. There is really no limit on where you can apply Glue data quality. Glue data quality can be applied on your catalog, ETL pipelines, code, and your notebook.
All right, now that you've watched the demo, let's now go into the ETL pipeline experience. The ETL pipeline is a slightly different experience. The primary persona who will be working here is a data engineer. A data engineer would go into an ETL job. Either it could be an existing ETL job or a job that they're going to be building brand new. You can add a evaluate data quality transform. You can author all the rules. You can specify what kind of outputs you want. So there are two outputs that you can get. One is a set of results. For instance, you wrote 20 rules and you can basically get the status across 20 of these rules. Another separate output is your exact records that you passed into the data quality transform with a set of augmented columns or additional columns, which indicates which records passed, which records failed, which records were skipped, and an overall status. The reason why you will get skipped records is because sometimes your rules might be not just at a row level. For instance, record counts cannot identify which record specifically failed. So those will be kind of in the skipped rules. And you will be able to take all of that data, apply filters, do what you need to do from a business standpoint to handle that data, and finally ingest it into your targets. The same concepts apply in terms of setting up actions. You can get alerted. You can write to CloudWatch metrics. You can write these results anywhere you want. You can stop the job if you find a data quality issue. You can continue the job. All of these buttons and configurations and knobs are available for you to take appropriate action. Again, you will get a data quality score at a pipeline level. You can use this to determine how well the data is actually being either getting ingested into your data lakes or being processed by your pipelines. Now, I'm going to invite Dean, who's my colleague, to show you how to apply data quality rules on ETL pipelines.
In this video, you will learn how to set up data quality checks in your ETL pipeline to prevent bad data from entering your data repositories, ultimately leading to improved data for your business teams. My name is Dean. I'm a senior solution architect at AWS, and I'm going to demonstrate Glue data quality capabilities for ETL pipeline. For this demo, I have two CSV datasets stored in Amazon S3. First is customer dataset. It is a list of customers from a department store. Next is sales transaction dataset, which I'm going to use as a reference to ensure that all customers have purchased some item from the store. Let's now add Evaluate Data Quality Transform, where you can author your data quality roles. Let's choose both dataset as input to this transform. My goal is to check for the data quality of the customer dataset and identify error records for this dataset. Hence, I will specify my primary dataset as customer. Sales dataset is going to be used as one of the reference dataset. Let's go and add the data quality check. First, I want to ensure that there is at least 100 records in my dataset. To do this, I will use row count rule that validates the number of records in the primary dataset. Next, I want to ensure that customer ID is not null and unique using isPrimaryKey rule. Next, I will check that the first name column length is greater than 2. Sometimes you need to implement complex business rules. Glue Data Quality provides custom SQL rule type to accomplish this. Here I will check that at least phone or email is present for each row in the file. Let's now add a data quality rule to ensure that all customers have sales record. To do so, I will add a referential integrity rule by providing the source field, reference field, and a threshold. Our rule authoring is now complete. To identify records that failed data quality check, I will choose original data that will output my primary data set and then enable add new columns to indicate data quality errors. This will add new node called row level outcomes. In the output schema of this node, you can see 4 new columns are added in addition to the primary data. Data quality rules pass will show all the past rows for the particular row. Data quality rules fail will show all the failed rules. There are some rule types such as row count that are not applied at individual row level. These rules are recorded in data quality rules skip column. Finally, data quality evaluation result shows the overall passed failed result at a row level. Now, going back to evaluate data quality node, I will also choose data quality results. This will add a new node, rule outcomes. It will show results summarized at rule level. I will write this output to separate S3 bucket for detailed analysis and visualization. Again, going back to evaluate data quality node, to choose the action based on the data quality evaluation result. You can choose from continue with job, which is default, fail job after loading the target data, or fail job without loading the target data. In my job, I will go with the default option of continue with the job. From row level outcomes node, I will filter failed record from past record using conditional router. Let's provide the group name and add condition. I will filter based on data quality evaluation result. Column matches failed. Default group will have all the past record. I will write the output of these nodes to different S3 location. Past record will go to past folder and failed record will go to the failed folders. Glue Studio automatically generates the code that you can view. You can easily take this code, parameterize it, and reuse the same job for different data sources and data quality rules, thus reducing your overall development time. Let's save and run this job. The job execution is successful. Let's check the data quality result in the data quality tab. As you can see, 3 out of 5 rules passed and overall score is 60%. Let's look at some of the failed record. You can see the failed record and the failure reason for each of the records. I can now work with my source system owners to fix this data issue at the source or identify and apply new transformation to improve data quality. In this demo, I showed you how you can use Glue data quality in your ETL pipeline to identify and filter bad data from your high quality data. We would love to hear your feedback. Please feel free to reach out to us using contact us link on data quality tab. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dean. Hope you enjoyed our demos and hope now you're clear about how data quality works. Now, let's talk about what's powering data quality under the hood. So the first thing I want to highlight is DQ. Amazon DQ is an open source library that we had built to measure and monitor quality of data. There are several customers, thousands of customers who have actually been using DQ today to manage quality of their data. The first thing is that this has been internally used by Amazon to manage the quality of data. And this has been tested in over data lake size of 60 petabytes. And the second thing is this is an open source package at the end of the day that allows you to manage quality of data. Now with Glue Data Quality, you have a managed version of Amazon DQ, and you can completely avoid doing any of the management or library installations or infrastructure management. And this is something that a lot of our customers really love is getting this option of managed DQ and the ability to write data quality rules in this open package and not getting locked in. So another problem that we had encountered is really defining data quality rules. Data quality rule definition can be complex because of a couple of reasons. One is that developers will have to write really complex rules to implement data quality. Business users, from a business perspective, are also involved, and they must be able to read these to understand. And migrating and reusing data quality rules are really, really difficult if you write it in a proprietary language. And so if you come to think of it, there are really two options, right? One is today, if you want to write data quality rules, you can write it like in a wizard-based style, for instance. Typically you see it all around wizards. Visits are really great, uh, but the problem is when it comes to data engineering, visits are not really helpful because you want to really keep it fast. You want to build rules. You want to be able to automatically generate rules, and based on something you want to. We've spoken to so many customers who said like, look, I all I want to do is just look through my data. Kind of, I have my own ways. If it's an integer, I want to do these checks. If it's a date, I want to do these checks. So really, wizards work great in some cases, but not in all the cases. Whereas the other alternative is JSON-based configuration files. It's really hard for business users to understand them. So we had to find a common medium, and we looked around, and there wasn't like a language that where you can express data quality rules. And it needed to be simple. It needed to be concise. It needed to be like a document, as if you're reading through it. And that's where we created data quality definition language. As you can see here, the data quality definition language is pretty straightforward in terms of how it appears, right? For example, if you look at the line number 24 on my screen, it just simply says, is MTA tax complete, right? Which means that is there all values in it? The next one says standard deviation should be between A and B. That allows you to really quickly understand what's written. It's intuitive. It's very easy to author. It gives you the ability to generate code as opposed to not having to click and write. And more importantly, it's very easy to reuse and deploy. So a lot of customers have to write rules from one environment, take it and deploy it in other environments. This makes it really easy. Uh, and we also have about 25 plus data quality rules. And one of the important things is that you can also write custom SQL. Some customers might not want to write DQDL. Instead, they can choose to write custom SQLs that will allow you to still write data quality rules and you check all the thresholds if you choose to use that. And that's what you're seeing in line number 45. So from a built-in rule types, we have consistency checks, which allows you to write column correlations, check data types, check for column existence. We have accuracy types, which specifically deals with values of data. You can write completeness checks, which makes sure that data is fully complete and fresh. And you have integrity checks, which means that are there duplicates, or is referential integrity correct? Or if I'm saying if I have a data set A, is it agreeing with what I have in data set B? So you have all kinds of data quality rules, and the ability for you to the cool part that I'm particularly excited about is just it's not only that you can write rules, but also identify which records specifically fail in our ETL experience. So we have had several customers, use Glue Data Quality. One of the customers is RX. This customer was particularly excited simply because they were originally using Amazon DQ, and there was a lot of installations and packaging, and that has all gone away. The out-of-box data quality and the scalability that it brings to the table is very exciting for our customer RX. So far, you've you've been with me and you've learned about data quality and how this works and how you can actually use Glue data quality from a catalog and ETL perspective. You've also understood how why Glue data quality is different, why serverless matters, why scalability matters, why openness matters, and why you shouldn't be managing your own infrastructure. Instead, focus more on writing rules and managing the quality of data. Hope you enjoyed the session. You should definitely get started. It's pretty straightforward and easy. Go to your Glue Data catalog, simply open a data set, click on create rules, and schedule your first rule. Or if you need to do this on your other environments, you may be able to do it in your ETL pipelines. So we are open for questions. If you have anything, you can always reach us out on the console. You have feedback URLs, so you should be able to reach us out anytime you want. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and please leave your feedback.